The night my grandmother told a room full of relatives that my cousin was the daughter I'm proud of, she did it with my credit card already on file with the restaurant. She clinked her glass, grabbed the microphone, and gushed about how my cousin deserved this more than anyone. Then, when the dessert plates were cleared and the waiter brought out the leather folder, she handed it straight to me and said, loudly enough for everyone to hear, "Here you go, honey. You make the big girl money. Put it on your card. You know your cousin deserves this more." The total was $3,247.19. By the time the waiter came back, my card had already been canceled. My name is Lauren Pierce. I was 31 years old, a financial analyst, and the responsible granddaughter in a family where responsibility had always been treated as a weakness to exploit. That night was the last time my grandmother expected me to quietly pay for someone else's celebration. And the night my cousin realized that being the favorite didn't mean someone else would always pick up the tab. "You're the sensible one, Lore. She needs it more." Grandma Irene had 3 grandchildren and 1 golden child. My older brother, Matt, was the firstborn, charming, handsome, utterly unreliable. He drifted from job to job, hobby to hobby, girlfriend to girlfriend, always finding himself and always landing somehow on someone else's couch. Then there was my cousin, Emily. She was my aunt's daughter, 2 years younger than me, big brown eyes, the kind of easy laugh that made adults say things like, "You're going to go far on that smile alone." And then there was me. I was the one who did my homework without being told, the one who got up early to help Grandma Irene carry in groceries, the one who spent Saturdays cleaning her kitchen while Emily kept her company in the living room scrolling Instagram. "Lauren's our rock," Grandma would say. "Emily's our little star." The rock held everything up. The star got all the light. When I was 15, my parents split. My mom, Irene's only child, moved into a small apartment in town. My dad moved 3 states over with his new family. Grandma decided my mother was too emotional to lean on, so she leaned on me. "Your mother has always been dramatic," she'd sigh into the phone. Lauren, you're practical. Thank God for that." At 16, I was the one driving her to doctor's appointments because Emily didn't like hospitals. At 18, when I got into a state university on a partial scholarship, Irene hugged me and said, "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You always make good choices. That's why I know you'll understand." Understand what? That she couldn't help with tuition because she'd loaned $10,000 to Emily for school a year earlier, and Emily had dropped out after 1 semester. "You'll get scholarships," Grandma had said. "Emily's not wired like you. She needs more help." When I picked up extra shifts at the campus library to cover books, Grandma said, "See, I knew you'd figure it out. You always do." When Emily called, crying about how city life was harder than she thought and how the rent on her cute downtown studio was unfair, Grandma sighed and said, "She doesn't have your head for numbers, Lore. She needs it more." The language never changed. Needs it more. Deserves it more. Has it harder, despite living a life cushioned by everyone else's work. After college, I landed a junior analyst job at a mid-sized firm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. I learned how to read financial statements like other people read gossip magazines. I watched numbers and patterns and tiny red flags that told stories about people's choices. I started sending Irene money without being asked. First, it was little things. Groceries when her Social Security check came late. Gas money when the doctor's office moved across town. Then bigger. New tires. Dental bills. The stair lift when arthritis made the climb to her bedroom hard. "You shouldn't," she'd protest weakly. "I hate taking from you." Then, in the same breath, "But I don't know what I'd do without you." I'd wave it off. "It's just money, Grandma." I'd say, "You and Mom took care of me. This is how I say thank you." Emily rarely contributed anything tangible. When Grandma's roof leaked, she posted a tearjerker on Facebook about aging family homes and got a few likes. When Grandma was lonely, she sent selfies with heart emojis and "miss you" red heart from whatever brunch spot she was at. You know how she is, Grandma would say indulgently. She's like her father. Flighty, but she has a good heart. When I brought up imbalance, gently, the way you poke an old bruise, Grandma would tut. "Don't keep score, Lauren." She'd scold. "Family doesn't keep score. Besides, Emily doesn't have what you have. You've got a good head, a good job. You don't need as much." And because I'd been trained from childhood to wear good head and good job as badges, I swallowed the sting. If I protested too much, she'd sigh. "I didn't raise you to be selfish." She hadn't raised me, but she'd shaped me into the rock, the one everyone assumed would be there, steady and silent. 2. The birthday party I didn't agree to. Grandma Irene turned 75 in March. She'd been talking about it since the previous summer. 75 is a big one, she'd say as we played cards at her kitchen table. 3/4 of a century. Can you believe it? "What do you want to do?" I'd asked. "Small family dinner? Church potluck? You hate surprises, so you better speak up now." She'd laughed. "I wouldn't say no to a little fuss," she admitted. "Maybe a nice restaurant. Nothing crazy. Just the family. I want to see all my babies in one place." By all her babies, she meant me, my brother Matt, and Emily. Matt was in between jobs again. He called Irene every so often to tell her about big opportunities, never mentioning rent or overdue bills directly, but always making sure she knew he was doing his best. Emily, as usual, floated on a cloud of vibes and vague projects. She turned her one semester of art school into an Instagram feed, full of filtered photos and collabs. She called her brand Emily Grace Creates. She did not, as far as anyone could tell, create anything that generated steady income. One afternoon in February, my phone buzzed with a text from Emily. "Emily, hey cuz 2 hearts, you free to chat later? Planning SMTH for GMA's 75th. I swallowed my dread. Me, sure. Call me after work." She FaceTimed that evening, curled on a velvet couch, fairy lights behind her. "Okay, so," she said, launching straight in. "GMA's been hinting about wanting a real party, not just meatloaf at home. I found this gorgeous restaurant downtown that does private rooms, brick walls, candles, live piano. It's so her." "That sounds nice," I said cautiously. "What about the cost?" She waved a manicured hand. "They said they can do a prefix menu," she said. 3 courses, cake, drinks packages. And because it's a weeknight, they'll give us a deal. We just need to put down a card to hold the reservation." Red flag. "What kind of deal?" I asked. "Actual numbers, M." She squinted at her screen. "Hang on," she said, tapping. "Okay, so for the room and food, it's like 40 per person, and then drinks. But not everyone drinks. And we'll keep it family only, so it won't be huge. Maybe, I don't know, 25 people." My brain did the math automatically. 40 times 25, 1,000, plus drinks, plus tax, plus tip, easily 2,000, even at the low end. "Emily," I said carefully, "that's a lot of money." She pouted. "You only turned 75 once," she said. "GMA deserves something special. She's always saying she never had a fancy party. We can't just take her to Denny's." "Grandma likes Denny's," I said. "She likes free coffee refills and coupons." Emily rolled her eyes. "You are so literal," she said. "Look, I already showed her photos of the place. She loved it." She got all teary and said, "I never thought I'd see somewhere like that. We can't back out now." It'd break her heart. Anger flared, then fizzled, smothered by guilt. What did the restaurant say about the deposit? I asked. They said they need a card on file to book the date, she said, but they don't charge it unless we cancel late. So it's fine. We'll all split it. We all. I repeated, including Matt, including Aunt Sharon, including the cousins we only see at funerals. Of course, she said. Everyone loves GMA. I could practically hear the unspoken, and everyone loves free food. I'll tell you what, I said, finally, you send me the proposal email. I'll look it over. If it makes sense, I'll give them my card to hold the room. But we need a clear plan for how the bill will be split. I am not funding a party for people who think Venmo is optional. Emily squealed. I knew you'd come through, she said. You're the only one I can count on to handle things. That sentence should have set off louder alarms. Instead, it just made me tired. The restaurant was even more expensive than Emily had described. The proposal email, when it arrived, laid it out clearly. Private room fee, $500. Prefix menu, $55 per person. Dessert service, outside cake, $4 per person. Optional wine package, $25 per adult. Plus tax, plus 22% automatic gratuity. At the head count Emily gave, 32, not 25, we were looking at nearly $3,000 before anyone ordered an extra drink. I called the restaurant. Do you have any lower cost options? I asked the event manager. Less courses? Smaller room? I can waive the room fee if we hit a minimum spend, she said, but with your group size, you'll reach that easily. Is there any way to have guests pay individually the night of? I asked, set menu but separate checks. She hesitated. We don't usually do that for private parties, she said. It slows service. And someone always gets stuck with the leftover. The host generally covers and then collects later. Host. I looked at the top of the proposal. Event host, Emily Pierce. Billing contact, Lauren Pierce. My name. My card. Not a coincidence. Can you change the billing contact? I asked. Sure, she said. Who should it be? I almost said, Emily, then stopped. Emily would never pick up their calls. The restaurant would come after me eventually anyway. No, leave it, I said slowly. But please note in the file that I am only authorizing charges for no-show fees or a canceled event. The final bill is to be presented at the event to the host, and payment arrangements will be made then. I am not authorizing my card to be run automatically. She sounded surprised. We can note that, she said. But just so you know, if payment isn't taken care of the night of, we do reserve the right to charge the card on file. I exhaled. Understood, I said. I'll be there in person. I hung up, staring at the screen. For the first time, a thought occurred to me that didn't feel like betrayal, but like self-preservation. I do not have to be the one who makes this work. 3, she's the daughter I'm proud of. The night of Grandma Irene's 75th birthday, the restaurant gleamed. Exposed brick, candles flickering in vintage holders, a pianist in the corner playing standards. I arrived early, partly to help Irene navigate the stairs, partly to assert my presence as more than just the walking wallet. She wore her best dress. A navy number she'd had since my grandfather's retirement party. Her hair was freshly set, silver curls framing her face. You clean up nice, Grandma, I said, looping my arm through hers. So do you, sweetheart, she replied, glancing at my simple black dress and red shawl. You always did have my coloring. Emily gets her drama from her mother's side. We stepped into the private room. It was beautiful. I'll give Emily that. Fairy lights strung across beams. Photos of Irene through the years on the walls. A table in the corner with a big cake that read, Happy 75th Irene, in looping script. Emily flitted between tables like a party planner on a reality show, greeting guests, adjusting candles, taking selfies. GMA, she squealed when she saw us. You look so amazing. Oh, my little star, Grandma cooed, hugging her. You did all this. Well, Emily said, shooting me a look. I had help, but the vision was all me. People arrived. Aunts, uncles, cousins, old family friends. Everyone oohed and ahed. Lauren, this must have cost a fortune, Aunt Sharon said, patting my arm. You're such a good girl. It was a team effort, I said automatically. Matt was late, as usual. He stumbled in half an hour after the start, tie crooked, kissing Grandma's cheek and loudly apologizing for traffic. I caught the whiff of alcohol, decided not to comment. Dinner was nice at first. Irene smiled. She told stories. Everyone toasted. I watched the waiter continuously refill wine glasses at one table and mentally added dollars to the invisible total. By dessert, I'd almost convinced myself I was glad we'd done it. Then Emily clinked her glass. Everyone, she sang, grabbing the mic the restaurant provided. Can I have your attention for a sec? The room quieted. I just wanted to say how grateful we are to have our Grandma Irene. She gushed. She has been the heart of this family forever. She has the biggest heart. She is the reason I believe in following my dreams and living fully. Polite applause. She smiled, that glossy influencer smile that never quite reached her eyes. She's always believed in me, Emily went on, even when other people thought I should be more realistic or pick something stable. She always said, Emily, you're special. You're not like everyone else. She glanced pointedly in my direction. Irene laughed. It's true, she said loudly. You are special, darling. Some people, Emily continued, are born with spreadsheets for brains. And some of us are born to shine. A few people chuckled. I felt my cheeks burn. Grandma always told me that. She said, so tonight, I wanted to celebrate the woman who never stopped believing in me. You're not just my grandmother. You're like a second mother. You're the mother I'm most proud of. She turned to Irene, wiping theatrically at her eyes. And Irene said into the mic when Emily handed it to her, am proud to have such a granddaughter. You're the daughter I'm proud of. The words landed like a stone in my chest. No one else seemed to notice the shift. Of course, I love all my grandchildren, she added, almost as an afterthought. Lauren's our rock. She's dependable. She makes good beans. She laughed. Emily, she's our dreamer. She's the one you brag about. A murmur of laughter. I stared at the tablecloth. Our rock. Our dreamer. One gets leaned on. One gets lifted up. And tonight, Irene concluded, our dreamer deserves to be spoiled. She made all this happen. You deserve it, baby. My jaw clenched. The dreamer who'd sent me a Venmo request last week for balloons and decorations with no explanation. The dreamer who'd casually mentioned, you'll cover it, right? You always do, like we were splitting a pizza. I took a breath, reminded myself that feelings weren't facts, that the bill hadn't arrived yet, that there was still time to set boundaries. Then the waiter appeared beside my shoulder with a leather folder. Will that be one check or separate? He asked. Before I could answer, Irene spoke. Oh, give it to Lauren, dear, she said, patting my arm and smiling at the room. She insisted. She makes the good money now. A few heads turned. It's nothing to her, Aunt Sharon added. She's in finance. I opened the folder. $3,247.19. My stomach flipped. My brain did a quick inventory. I had the money, technically, in my checking account, but I'd earmarked it. Emergency cushion, property tax prepayment, not a surprise party for a cousin whose rent I'd helped pay 3 months ago. I looked up. Faces watched me, some expectant, some sheepish, some oblivious. Go on, honey, Grandma said, voice sugary but edged with steel. You know your cousin deserves this more. There it was. The line. Not just about the money. About everything. About 20 years of she needs it more. About my achievements being practical, boring, expected. About Emily's whims being treated as destiny. I set the folder down calmly. For the record, I said, loud enough for the table to hear, I did not insist on paying for everyone. I agreed to put my card down to reserve the room. That's not the same thing as underwriting the entire night. The hum of conversation dimmed. Lauren, Grandma chided, still smiling. Don't make a scene. I smiled back. Oh, I'm not making a scene, I said. I'm clarifying. I looked at the waiter. Could you do me a favor and bring itemized checks by family? I asked. Per table? We'll sort it out. He glanced at the folder, then at Grandma, caught between customer and customer. He began. The host chooses, I said, and according to the event file, the host is Emily Pierce. All eyes swung to her. She blinked. What? No, she said quickly. You're the billing contact. It's on your card. The card you do not have authorization to run without my signature, I said pleasantly, which you won't be getting. Whispers rippled. What are you doing? Emily hissed. You're embarrassing me. I'm stopping a pattern. I replied, if you want to throw a $3,200 party, you pay for it. Or you make sure the people eating at the table know they'll be paying for it. What you don't do is tell the restaurant your cousin will cover it, and hope she's too polite to say no in front of everyone. Irene's face had gone from amused to pinched. Lauren, she said sharply, we don't talk about money at the table. It's tacky. It's tacky to hand someone a $3,200 bill as a surprise, I said. It's tacky to tell your granddaughter she's the one you're proud of, and then expect the other one to silently fund the party. We're all breaking etiquette tonight. Grandma. Matt slouched further into his chair. Come on, Lore, he'd muttered. Don't be that person. It's just money. For you, I said, it always is. I turned back to the waiter. I will pay for my dinner, my drink, and Grandma's entree. I said, the rest needs to be worked out between these adults and their wallets. He nodded hesitantly. Yes, ma'am, he said. I'll split the checks. As he walked away, the room buzzed. Emily sputtered. You can't do this, she said. Grandma deserves better than a granddaughter who uses her as a prop for Instagram. I snapped. Yes, she does. And she's had me in that role for long enough. Gasps. Was I being cruel? Maybe. But cruelty had worn a kinder smile when it looked like, you know your cousin deserves this more. I stood, smoothing my dress. I'm going to say goodnight. I said. Lauren, Irene said, voice low with fury. Sit down. No, I said. She blinked. What did you say? She demanded. I said no. I repeated. I love you. I am happy we celebrated your birthday. I am not your wallet. Not tonight. Not anymore. I picked up my coat. Emily stared at me, eyes shiny, outrage and embarrassment mingled. You're going to regret this, she spat. Maybe, I said, but at least if I regret it, it will be my decision, not someone else's invoice. I kissed Grandma's cheek. Happy birthday, I said softly. Maybe next year we'll get Denny's coffee like you actually like. Then I walked out. Behind me, I heard Aunt Sharon say, well, someone has to pay, and Emily's tight reply, we'll figure it out. For once, I wasn't part of the we. For, after the party, bills and boundaries. I half expected my phone to explode with calls on the Uber ride home. It didn't. Silence. The next morning, my mother called. How could you humiliate her like that? She demanded before I could say hello. Your grandmother is devastated. Emily is in tears. They'll live. I said, stirring my coffee. Did the restaurant accept separate payments in the end? That's not the point, she snapped. It's exactly the point, I replied. For years, the unspoken arrangement has been Emily creates the mess, I quietly clean it up. Last night, I decided not to. That's all. You always make everything about money, she said. You and Grandma made it about money when you decided my paycheck was community property. I said, when she loaned Emily 10 grand she never repaid, when I covered the stair lift and the prescriptions and the roof, and no one ever suggested splitting those bills. Emily is an artist, my mother said, as if that were a medical diagnosis. She's not like you. She doesn't have the same opportunities. She had the same grandparents. I said, she had the same public school. She had the same access to student loans and jobs. She just had more people ready to cushion her from the consequences of her choices. You're being cruel, Mom said. I'm being clear, I replied. That's new. I get that it's uncomfortable. She scoffed. So what now? She asked. You cut us all off. Let your grandmother rot in that house because you're so proud of your boundaries. The old guilt flared, but I remembered my spreadsheets, what I'd done in the weeks leading up to the party. I'd already separated the recurring bills, gently, moved Grandma's utilities into her own name instead of mine, helped her apply for a prescription assistance program, given her the number of a home care agency, and told her, honestly, that I could help sometimes, but not always. Grandma won't rot, I said. She has Social Security. She has Medicare. She has you. She has Emily and Matt and Aunt Sharon. She has neighbors. She also has savings she says she doesn't want to touch because she likes seeing the balance. If she wants help, I'll help. With what I can, when I can. Not with my entire future. You talk like you were some kind of martyr, Mom said. We all pitched in. No, I said quietly. We didn't. I did. She was silent. You know, I'm right. I added, every time a crisis hit, the group chat turned into, Lauren, can you? Emily's entire business model is Laura will figure it out. That's not fair, Mom muttered. Maybe not, I said. But it's true. We went in circles for another 5 minutes. She finally hung up in a huff. An hour later, Emily texted, Emily, you made me look like trash last night. Thanks for that. Clapping hands. Emily, I don't have $3,200 just lying around. GMA put part on her card, and the rest on mine. I'm drowning. I stared at the screen. 3 months earlier, I might have replied with, okay, I'll send you something to help. This time, I typed, me, then you threw a party you couldn't afford. That's on you. If you want, I'll sit down with you and make a budget. But I'm not paying your bill. 3 dots. Then, Emily, wow, you really are heartless. Me, no. I'm just done being afraid. You'll stop loving me if I stop paying. She didn't respond. 5. The lawyer, the will, and the quiet shift. 2 weeks after the party, Grandma called. She sounded older than I'd ever heard her. Lauren, she said, can you come over? We need to talk. I took a breath. Sure, I said. Thursday? I'm off at 3. I'll make beans, she said, trying for normal. When I walked into her kitchen, the bean pot simmered on the stove. The same one I'd washed 1,000 times. She sat at the table with an envelope in front of her. Sit, she said. I did. I've been thinking, she said, staring at the tablecloth. About everything. I stayed quiet. Your mother says you're being dramatic, she went on. Emily says you like to punish people. Matt says you've changed. I could imagine their group chat, lining up narratives, making me the villain. And what do you say? I asked. She sighed. I say, I raised you to be capable. She said, And then I kept using that as an excuse to ask more than I should. My throat tightened. I let Emily talk me into that party, she continued. I liked the idea of it. The photos. The fuss. I pictured myself in that room and thought, for once I get to feel fancy. I didn't think about who would actually pay. I assumed you'd handle it. Because I always had. I said, yes, she said simply. Because you always have. She slid the envelope toward me. I called Mr. Henson. She said, the lawyer asked him to show me my will. I hadn't looked at it since your grandfather died. I realized it was written in a time when I thought of you three as children who needed smoothing out, not as adults with your own lives. I opened the envelope. Her old will left her house and remaining assets to be divided equally among my grandchildren, share and share alike. What are you going to do? I asked. I already did it, she said. I changed it. She handed me a new document, codicil to the last will and testament of Irene Pierce. Brief, to the point. I hereby amend my will to provide that any outstanding documented loans or advances made by my granddaughter, Lauren Pierce, toward my living expenses, medical care, or home maintenance shall be repaid from my estate prior to division of the residue. I further direct my executor to take into account the pattern of financial support received by each grandchild during my lifetime when determining any additional specific bequests, with the goal of balancing, as fairly as possible, what has already been given. I blinked. You don't have to do this, I said. I don't have to, she replied. I want to. She leaned back. I can't undo the years I chose the star over the rock, she said. I can't change the fact that I called Emily the daughter I'm proud of into a microphone, and you heard it like a slap. But I can stop pretending all of you have walked the same path to this table. Tears pricked my eyes. It's not about the money, I said, voice wobbling. I know, she said, but money is how old women like me say thank you when we've run out of time to cook enough beans to make up for it. We both laughed, watery. She reached across the table, took my hand. I'm proud of you, Lauren, she said quietly. I've always been proud. I just didn't say it as often, because you didn't seem to need to hear it. Turns out, even rocks need to be seen. I squeezed her hand back. Thank you, I said, for all of that. And for what it's worth, she added with a small smile, the restaurant said your little stunt made for the best story they've heard in years. Apparently, half the staff was rooting for you. I snorted. I'll take my allies where I find them, I said. 6. Emily's turn. I didn't rub it in when Emily's credit card bill came due. She did that herself. 3 months after the party, she called me, not to apologize, to ask for advice. I'm drowning, she said, voice brittle. I put half the party on my card, like I said. Grandma's paying hers in installments. The interest is killing me. I can't buy supplies. I can't breathe. I thought it'd be fine. I don't know what I thought. You thought someone else would rescue you. I said gently. She was quiet. I need help, she whispered. Not money, she added quickly, as if saying the word would burn her tongue. Just a plan. I took a breath. Old patterns tugged at me. The part of me that knew how to fix things wanted to swoop. Pay off the card. Reset the board. Let her mistake become a funny story instead of a painful lesson. The newer part of me, the one that had walked out of a restaurant rather than sign a bill I didn't agree with, held firm. I'll help you make a budget. I said, I'll help you call the credit card company and ask for a lower rate. I'll help you set up auto drafts you can actually keep. I will not pay it for you. She sniffed. That's fair, she admitted quietly. We spent a Saturday afternoon at my kitchen table. I showed her how to track expenses, how to separate business from I just wanted brunch, how to say I can't afford that without shame. She cried twice. Once because numbers make my brain hurt. Once because she realized how much she'd been living in a fantasy built on other people's labor. I really am the spoiled one, she said at one point, staring at the spreadsheet. You're not spoiled, I said. You were indulged. There's a difference. Spoiled implies something rotten. You're not rotten, Em. You just haven't had to use certain muscles. Time to work them. She wiped her eyes. I hate that you're always right, she muttered. I'm not, I said. I've just had more practice eating my own consequences. She laughed through her tears. I still think you were dramatic walking out like that, she said, but I get it now. I was dramatic, I agreed. On purpose. Sometimes you have to be to reset the script. 7. Rocks, Stars, and Stories. In the months that followed, the shift held. I helped Grandma when I could. So did others. Matt even showed up to mow her lawn twice without being nagged. A small miracle. Emily started taking real gigs, teaching kids art classes, designing flyers for local businesses, work that wasn't glamorous enough for Instagram, but paid. At family gatherings, Irene still told Emily she was special, but she also started saying out loud, Lauren's the one who kept us standing. Don't you forget that. The first time she said it, at Easter, Emily grinned and said, We know GMA. She reminds us of the spreadsheet every time we see her. I rolled my eyes, but smiled, because for once, the joke didn't feel like a dismissal. It felt like an acknowledgement. I used to think revenge would feel like fire, like victory, like watching someone suffer and enjoying it. What I've learned is that the most satisfying revenge, if you can even call it that, is living without the resentments you used to feed with your own silence. It's paying your portion of a bill you agreed to. It's walking away from the ones you didn't. It's hearing someone say, You're selfish, and being able to answer, I'm allowed to be centered in my own life. My grandmother still has a photo of that birthday party on her mantle. Emily framed it for her. Everyone's in it. Grandma in the center, glowing. Emily with her arm around her. Matt half hidden in the back, aunts, uncles, cousins. I'm off to the side, mid-turn, headed toward the door. Sometimes when I visit, I look at it and think, that was the night everything changed. Not because I left, because for the first time, I didn't let staying cost me more than it gave. If you grew up being the sensible one, the rock, the fixer, the one everyone tells, you don't need as much, I hope my story lands where it needs to. You are allowed to be proud of yourself, even if your family only brags about the stars. You are allowed to say no, even when the bill is already on the table. You are allowed to stop buying other people's illusions with your own hard-earned money. And if your grandma ever hands you a $3,200 tab and says, You know your cousin deserves this more, you are allowed to hand it right back and say, then she can pay for it.